Hello there, and welcome to what may be the first and last video of Championship Manager 97-98. Hopefully you've been enjoying the blog over the last 10 months or so. So what I decided to do was just to record a video and take you behind the scenes of the game we've been running for the last 5 or 6 months. Started out at Darlington, and as you can see we've just reached Season 13, or the end of Season 13, and we've just had the 2010 World Cup. Thanks for following and for coming along to see the video today. Hopefully, as I say, you've been enjoying it. And just for a bit of a change, I decided to take you through the game to date. So to begin with, let's just dive into the competition info here, and we'll have a look at the Premier League. Now at the moment, I'm not in the Premier League. I left Darlington not long ago. You'll know if you've been reading the updates. But they are still involved in the Premier League under the guidance of Gerry Francis instead. So let's go back to when the game began, which for us was in the 97-98 season. Man United won the league from Chelsea, and they won it by a mile. I think from memory it took them about 30 games in to actually lose a game, and they totally dominated, as they always do in the first season on this game, I find. And they went on to win the second season, but in the third season Roy Evans' Liverpool finally wrestled the title off them. Only for one season though, and then Man United won it back. Leeds at this point in time actually had Gerry Francis in charge. See, they came close on a couple of occasions. Firstly to Man United. Everton built an incredible team filled with Championship Manager legends. Then Gerry did win it with Leeds, and then went into a couple more seasons of Man United dominance. You can see my Darlington finally getting on the honours board here. And then after being runner-up in 2005, we then won it a couple of times with me, and then Gerry took over and has continued that for a season. However, as you can see, it's already starting to go wrong for old Gerry, and he's not been on the honours board for 2 seasons now. Wolves have won the league under Mark Hateley from Gordon Milne's Man United. Gordon Milne took over from Ferguson at the start of the 2005-2006 season. And right now the current champions are Liverpool. David Unsworth is their manager. He was player manager for a bit, but well, he still is actually, but he's obviously stopped playing himself. He's getting on a bit. There's not too many household names in this team. There's Unsworth for you. 36 and a handful of caps for England. I shouldn't imagine he'll be playing too much longer, especially if he continues to have some success managing the team. Ben Thornley, so former Man United player there, he's moved across to the great rivals, but it's only Ben Thornley. The Darlington squad, again, not so many household names in here, but hopefully you'll remember some of these if you've been reading the updates from way back when. So Manga Ayew is one of the star players. He's Jafford and Durham. Michael Owen's still in there. Jallians is Ronald de Boer's regenerating. Aguilera is Luis Enrique. Berza is Andres Moller. Steve Haslam, so again, he's a big blog favourite from back in the first game we had at the start of the year, and he's continued that as he's made his way in the England squad there with 20 caps. But it's come so far into the game now, a lot of these are regenerated players. As we've already said, Gerry's in charge of these now. He's had a modicum of success, as you can see. I mean, I've built the team, but he was doing well with Leeds before he got the job. And since then, as you can see, he's won bits and pieces with Darlington. He probably hasn't achieved as much as he should have done with his squad, because it is a fantastic squad. It's basically a lot of the best players in the world regenerated. So the FA Cup, this has always been a bit of a lottery of winners in here. David Unsworth was winning back to back. Obviously means a lot to Big Dave, but going back to the start of the game, Tottenham were the first winners, and that's saying something, because since then Tottenham have really fallen off a cliff. They're near the bottom of Division 3, as you can see here. 19th, not a good finish. They've just appointed Graham Tomlinson as their manager. Tomlinson, most of you will know, is a lower league hero who starts on a free transfer. So it'll be interesting to see if he can turn them round and try and get them back to where they belong. Quite a fall, going down 4 divisions, but who knows if he can get them back. So since then, it's a load of different wins. Brian Robson's Middlesbrough beat Man United. Peter Reid's Crystal Palace beat Man United as well. Really strange to see Ferguson lose back to back. Gerry Francis at Leeds he beat Everton, and then Fergie beat my Darlington team. You may have read the live text on that when that took place. Then there was a really strange incident where Southport from Division 2 managed to win the league. Now bearing in mind Leeds at the time were dominating the game, they won Champions League I think in the same season, but on that particular afternoon in 2003 Steve Gritt's Southport somehow went on to win the FA Cup. They're now managed by Sean Devine, who I had as a Darlington player for a number of seasons. But look at his history in the FA Cup. They won it totally out of the blue. Since then, they've barely come anywhere near retaining it. And if you look at their league history, once they got into the league, the Football League, in 2002, they got into Division 2, but they've never even come close to being a Premier League side. After that, Sheffield Wednesday won the cup. I think that was under George Graham. And then my Darlington side beat Joe Kinnear's Derby. Again, there was a live text for that. Everton, Man United, Palace, and then, as we said, the Unsworth double. So let's leave the FA Cup behind. We'll have a quick look at the Pointless Cup. Really, I call it the Pointless Cup because you don't get anything for winning it. You get a small amount of prize money. You don't get a place in Europe, and it's just a drain on your resources. Having said that, Man United seemed to win it a lot in the early days. Wolves won it back to back, which was a bit unusual. Jerry has won it with Darlington. He beat Wolves. Wolves have really come to the party in the last couple of seasons. As you say, they have won a league. Mark Hateley is their manager, so he starts in Division 3 with Hull, and he's made his way at the top of the league there. You can see Marcus Bent in the squad. Obviously transfer listed, he has no part in this. West Ham under Peter Reid. So Peter Reid's had a really strange career. He actually started out at Sunderland before moving to Palace and winning the FA Cup, and he's had a good success at West Ham, win the League Cup and also the Cup Winners' Cup. However, I think he's the first manager I've ever seen not get Sunderland out of Division 1 at the first attempt, and he paid the price for that with an early sacking in the second season. Interesting to see they have Del Piero knocking around in there. Burnley, managed by Chris Waddle. Chris Waddle has been in charge since day one. He's one of the few original managers remaining in the first job. So he was a rival of mine in Division 2. He's made his way up to the Prem, back down Division 1, back up to the Prem. 7th is a very respectable finish. So well done to Chris Waddle. At the bottom there, Watford and Norwich have yo-yoed around. Blackburn have just sacked Alan Thompson. Relegation is not accepted at Ewood Park, it seems. But they've got a strong squad, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come straight back. As you can see, Jerry's Darlington have really flatlined into mid-table there. That squad should be doing far better than that. It's strange though, because their squad is good, but their reputation isn't great, so he'll probably keep at the job for a while. Arsenal have Matt Le Tissier. So let's move on from that, and let's show you where I am now. So Sevilla. I took over. They just finished second in the Liga, and I've just won the Champions League with them twice, back to back. We did win the Liga the previous season. This season we only came third, but I'm alright with that. Winning the Champions League is a bigger thing for me than winning the Liga. The squad is packed with good players. A lot of them are regens. Some of them I inherited. So many decent players. Jepson has recently become England's number 1. Angelo Weisser here, he is just a goal machine, even for his country, 19 and 23. But for me, 34 and 52, 31 and 55. Even before I came here, he was scoring 30 goals in a season. I think it might be maybe Jürgen Klinsmann or Riedler based on when he retired and when he was regenerated. I'm not really sure. Obviously, one of the good German strikers who starts the game. But either way, he's an absolute animal now. He barely misses. The rest of the squad, like I say, jam-packed with talent. So Jepson I touched on there. He's recently become England's first choice. Probably, I would guess, if he's regenerated in 2001, he might be David Seaman or maybe Tim Flowers, someone like that. But good goalkeeper. You can see his average rating. When you play for a decent team, your average rating as a keeper is never going to be all that high because you have a lot of games where you just aren't tested. but he still managed to pick up 10 man the match award, so he obviously knows what he's doing. Elsewhere in the squad, so Owen Wellens, took him to Darlington for peanuts, 150k. He did start in Spain. He wasn't getting a game under Francis, so I decided for 1.3 mil I could do worse, so he's come in. Moreno here will be a star in years to come. That's Alfonso, who starts the game at Betis, but inevitably gets snapped up by Barca or Real. But now he's regenerated, and I've signed him up as a child. Kolev, Stoichkov, and Didier Lou is Bakayoko, who's called today quite early. The rest of the squad, so Renato is Rivaldo. Luca Baldi is Dino Baggio. He's actually got a really horrific injury at the minute. Yeah, you can see a year there. Elsewhere, Musted is Legwinski. He'll be a star, I'm sure. I'll be leaving Sevilla after this video, I imagine. But whoever inherits him, got a decent player on their hands. Got a really high average rating. Ready there on the right is Ryan Giggs. He's just a young lad who's making his way at the minute. Gripner is Alexanderson. Not the best player in the world by any means, but he can play so many positions. It's handy to have him around. So I'll be sad to leave the. Actually, before I go, I will just show you this fella. Got injured during the World Cup. Had he not been injured, I think we probably would have won it. As you'll come on to see in a minute, we were runners up. I had offers of just about 20 mil for this chap. 1 and 2. Him and Visa, just an unbelievable strike partnership. And he's a young lad as well. I can only see him getting better in the next few years. But if I go somewhere with a big budget, hopefully he becomes available at some point. Another star player, Higuera. I think this might be Hierro, just based on his position and the fact that he's Spanish, but not really sure. But his average rating, top notch, key man in the middle of the park. Sad to leave him behind. Hierro was playing for Bolton around that sort of time, so maybe a bit premature for it to be him. But I'm sure if I looked hard enough into Spanish defensive / midfielders, I would find out who that is. Anyway, enough of me rambling about Sevilla. Let's have a look at La Liga. So when it first started, Barcelona under Van Gaal won it 6 times in a row, and Real Madrid were runners up lots of times. And Atletico Madrid at one point did break the mould, but eventually in 2004 Real Madrid then took over and they won it several times in a row as well. Once I came in, I broke that stranglehold that the big two had. That hasn't updated yet to show the 2010 winner. That will update when I hit done. As you can see, Barcelona won this year's. Van Gaal's been there since the start. It's not really surprising when you think he won all those La Ligas back to back in the beginning. Just go through his final league position. So first, a lot of times he had a minor blip, 4th, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, but he's back at the top now. A bit disappointing to come 3rd behind Betis, Sevilla's rivals, but like I say, we've won the Champions League back to back, so I'm not going to lose too much sleep over that. I've definitely done a good job at Sevilla, and I'd say it's a bit of a shame to leave them, but it's no fun watching the team win and blogging about it every single year. So Real Madrid, I was here for a bit. This chap, Sebastian Chano, he retired and left Sevilla, and then unretired to take on the Real Madrid job. Really unusual, never seen that happen, but I guess the pull of the Bernabeu was more than the golf course, so he came back to the game for that. The squad is not too different to when I left it, in truth. Let's go back into it there. A couple of new players, but Dave Oakes is one of the star players there. That's Gaza. You see he's only got 30 caps for England. He has so many injuries. You see his injury proneness is 20, and unfortunately by the time this game came out, Gaza was quite injury prone towards the end of his career. And that's, it costs him probably 20 games a season, bearing in mind he's been playing at a team there that's made most cup finals, latter stages of Europe, should be playing about 60 games. He manages about 2/3 of them. It's a shame. Say when I had him at Darlington, same thing was happening, and the chance came, 14 mil for a small, at the time a relatively small club like Darlington, and it was too good of an opportunity to turn down. So many decent players in here, and Matthew Wicks. I don't know why Matthew Wicks has turned up here. He is unhappy. I don't know why he's unhappy at sitting on Real Madrid's bench, but whatever. Sibierski, again, back in 97-98, must have been deemed a prospect. Got his move to Man United, and then Real Madrid. So he's had quite the time for a guy who never really got close to achieving that in real life. Barcelona have got the well-known Icelandic regen. His original guy retires in the first season, then the regen comes in, goes to Norway, Denmark, gets a move to Celtic, gets a bigger move to Everton, then gets his massive move to Barcelona. Just outstanding, probably the best player on the game, always is. I wish Darlington at the time had been big enough to sign him, but being a big part of Barcelona's success of him, Van Gaal must love him. So let's have a look at the Champions League. I have won it back to back. Pretty pleased with that. Before that, I won it with Real Madrid, and before that, I won it with Darlington. So without blowing my own trumpet, I have won it 4 consecutive times. It was a bit strange having to play Darlington in the final twice, but Gerry Francis couldn't get the job done in the same way that I could. Metz made the final this year. I don't know how that happened. They've got a very average squad. I doubt they'll do it again, in truth, but the France League isn't loaded, so I guess it's a bit potluck as to which team is doing well. If you look back at when we started the game, Parma with their wonderful squad which started this game, they won the whole thing against Real Madrid. But then really came a spell of dominance. If I just flick the page back over here, Barcelona under Van Gaal, 4 in a row, twice against Ajax, in El Clasico against Real Madrid, and then PSG. Gerry Francis then won it with his Leeds side, which he lost to Southport, and then I think beat Porto in the final in the space of about 3 days, which was very odd. Liverpool's final win against Barcelona, I think from memory, the goalie got sent off and David James came on towards the end of his career, saved a penalty in extra time, and Liverpool won that in extra time. Man United finally won the Champions League against Juventus. That turned out to be Fergie's last trophy really for Man United, before he left to go and manage Italy in the 06 World Cup. Juventus beat Man U, then as I say, I took over and I've had my fun and won that 4 times now. May as well just have a look at the UEFA Cup while we're here. Total lottery again, a lot of different winners in here. If we go back to the start, Lazio beat Ajax, Bilbao, Parma, Juve, Real Madrid dropped down in this for a bit. Betis won it back to back. My Darlington side won against Milan, you may remember the live text. Parma and Chef Wed, how did that happen? Leeds beat Sevilla, that wasn't me, that was the chap who was in before me at Sevilla. Metz, Metz must have been building towards that Champions League final, but they beat Liam Daish's Aston Villa. Villa have since sacked Liam Daish and he's now manager of 2nd Division Sunderland, so not a good time for Liam Daish at the minute. Betis beat Barcelona in an all-Spanish final, and then Brøndby of Denmark. The Danish teams always seem to come out well as time goes on. Brøndby, OB and FC Copenhagen, Copenhagen as they're known on this. Again, there's no real standout players in the squad. They've just, for some reason, there's a good feeling about the Danish clubs. That is Hacker Goodnison, who starts the game. I thought it was him. Yeah, he starts the game at Liverpool. He's been around a bit and he's found his way to the UEFA Cup winners. I do like Tim McDermott, a good old Danish name there. Anyway, let's move on. So, like I said, we've just had the 2010 World Cup. Nigeria, and you see in Group A here, actually won the World Cup in 2002, so coupled with Southport winning the FA Cup the following season, that was all very, very strange. I thought the game was broken, but they had a terrible World Cup in 06 as holders, but they've made it through here. Argentina were the host of this World Cup. They got the nod, so sorry South Africa, but Argentina got their comeuppance by going out with just 2 points to Colombia, who It's strange to see two South American sides on the same group. Iceland have got some firepower in there, so we already talked about Gottskalsken and Gislason of Barcelona, so maybe not that surprising they got through. The Scots got to the semi-finals in '06. That was held in England. So it actually knocked England out in the quarter-finals, which would have been, well, it would have been a scene at the time, I guess. But here they did all right, but they lost 3-0 to the Czech Republic. And if you're going to lose 3-0 to the Czech Republic, you're probably not going to go through. And so, unfortunately for Scotland, they went out. England made it through. Got to say, Glenn Hoddle's been in charge since day dot. I'm sick of him. I wish he'd just resign or get sacked or whatever he wants to do. He's a bit like Sven. He gets to the quarter-finals every time. Yeah, except for he did make back-to-back European Championship finals, to give him his credit. But that was a long time ago. So come on, let's get him sacked and then get in on the act here. So the squad: Jepson, I mentioned, my keeper, star player. Mark Jones starts the game at Wolves, as I guess must be a 17-year-old. Him and I guess Robbie Keane will be Wolves' youth prospects, and he's made his way through about a billion loan moves. So he went on loan to Celtic, and then that obviously impressed Celtic so much, Rangers spent 5.5 mil on him. And then Man United, 4 seasons later, spent 10 mil on him. So 84 caps, 36 goals. Whereas Owen has played about 30 games less and scored as many goals. So read into that what you will. Alex Notman, this little turncoat, cost me 1.1 mil with Darlington, which was a lot of money for us back then. And about 3 weeks later, Celtic got him on a big club release clause for 650k. That was really, really annoying. But anyway, no wonder Hoddle loves him. Kieran Dyer, he's only 31. He's heading 18. Well, 111 caps. It's well, he's had a mighty career. Cost Man United 9 mil some time ago. Lee Townsend, he's another turncoat who I signed him for nothing, made him what he is, and then he left to Everton where he's done nothing. Just subhuman scum. Don't waste your time with him. Now, Steve Haslam is a chap who I've got a lot of time for. He's a blog favourite, as I mentioned earlier. Basically, we had a game when I started this blog. He went to Real Madrid and he was a hero. Hasn't quite hit those heights. John Curtis, another Champman legend. He was part of that Everton team that won all sorts. Played for Liverpool, Man U, Everton. Basically has no loyalties, but has 65 caps for England, so fair play to him. Betton, he's another one who I bought through the ranks, and then as soon as he could, his contract expired and off he went to Man U. But I think he was second fiddle to Barthez for a number of years, and then away he went, and he's now Man United's first choice goalkeeper. Neil Finn, again another bizarre one who back in 97-98 must have had a lot of potential, so much so that he got moved to Real Madrid from West Ham for £8 million. Wonders never cease. I don't know what Neil Finn did. Maybe he was one of the researchers on the game, but got his move. There's Des Rodostenhouse. That's a nice English name for you. Anyway, on we go. So Brazil, they're still very much a force. Not so many household names in here. As I say, we have moved on a number of years. Ronaldo's still in there. He's Denilson as well. So around the time this game came out, Denilson was about to get his move as the world's most expensive footballer. That is the original Juninho from Borough, 37 and 87 caps, playing for Las Palmas. He was at Barca for a long time, probably won everything in the game, so we'll forgive him. Let's have a look at Ronaldo. Yeah, not a bad career, is it? He yeah, it's pretty much better than 1 and 2 as a career, which straight can't be bad. Let's look at Denilson while we're here. So he got a 13.5 mil move from Bilbao, who got him for relatively peanuts. He was part of my Real Madrid team who won the Champions League. Dalton, he's another one who's started, I think it's Parma, yeah, and basically Brazil's front line needs to retire. They're all very old. Is that the original Deco, I wonder? He was Brazilian for a bit, wasn't he, before he decided he was Portuguese. It seems to fit with the time frame. And, well, 33 goals in his whole career as a forward. Ricardinho, another old guy there, part of Everton's all-star team a while ago. They've had a strange time. Zachariah, what can you say? I think this is the chap who starts at Real Madrid. Yeah, it is. Basically, Brazil's team's ancient, and once they all retire, I hope I'm in a place where I can get all the regens, particularly Ronaldo's. Anyway, let's look at France. Thierry Henry still going strong. Only 39 caps, but 30 goals. Well, it's just no pleasing some people, is there? Napoli had a pretty good run. I think they're actually on the verge of being relegated now, but they did dominate Italy for a little while. Landreau, who made the Community 11 goalkeeper slot, if you've been keeping up with that. I did have him at Dalton for a bit. He's been criminally underused basically everywhere he's gone. Even at Dalton, I couldn't really make him first choice. He sat on Real Madrid's bench for a couple of years. So then went to Deportivo and did the same. It's a shame. He's never really going to fulfil his potential. He's 31 now, and he's at He's been at Notts County and now Hercules. So not all that much good for old Landreau. That star defender there, Cruyff, I think his name is. That's Laurent Blanc. Let's look at Jean Pignolet. He got a big move to Man U, didn't he? Not sure who he was previously. This is Laurent Blanc. Blanc retires quite early on in the game, as you'd expect. He was old when the game came out. He's not gone on to that much. Zambia. Interesting to see them get through against Australia and Japan. I've got a number of Portuguese players. Sevilla seem to start with a lot of Portuguese players. Also Simão. I'm surprised he's only 30. I think he'd be older than that. But he's been leading the line for Barcelona and seemingly Portugal for a number of years. Look at that average rating, man. He's some player. So this is where I was. I've resigned from Spain now, so that's why I'm not in yellow. Drawing Germany in the group was pretty rough, but always fancied our chances of getting through with the Saudi Arabia and Trinidad and Tobago to come. Wasn't all dead easy. So we lost a key striker, so had to really grind out a few wins. We did lead against Germany, who went on to win the whole thing. Maximilian Blanc. It's an odd name for a striker, I admit. Maybe that's Klinsmann. We'll never really know, so we can speculate, but he plays for Bayern and he beat me anyway. We then battered Saudi Arabia 1-0. Like I say, we really couldn't get a fluid team going. We trailed Trinidad and Tobago, which was a low point in my career, but we did come back to win 3-1. Incidentally, that Aguilera chap you see there is Luis Enrique, so he plays every position, and he pretty much did play every position for us. We beat Italy on pens, which really opened the draw up for us, because then we could play Austria, who again we thrashed 1-0. And by thrashed I mean they had more chances than us. Let's move on. The Czechs, so again had to really grind this one out, but we took a baton from them at times and we got through to the final, where it was quite an even game. We got to pens. Unfortunately, penalties against Germany could only mean one thing, and we lost. So Nicholas Studtrucker, what a name that is. That was a shame, but didn't really expect to win it, so to get to the final I was pretty pleased with, even though we barely scored. So looking at the World Cup history, say back in 97-98, the first season on the game, Argentina won the World Cup. Then Nigeria won against Spain, held in Japan, Korea. 2006, Italy won the World Cup under Alex Ferguson in England. So it's a Scot winning England, and Scotland actually knocked England out. So there you go, England, the perfect host as always. Denmark made the final in 06. Bear that in mind for a moment when I show you the European Championships. And as I said, we've just taken you through the 2010 World Cup. Germany beat my Spain team in the final, and that was in Argentina. So let's just nip over to the European Championships. And as you can see here, 2000 France beat England. That was in Holland, sorry, Belgium. 2004 France beat England. This time it was in Italy. So no Portugal 2004. And then in 08 Denmark beat Germany, which was a bit unusual, but it was 1992 all over again. So let's just have a look at the player situation. So because we're so many seasons in, not too many household names on show in here. Let's look at based anywhere, and let's look at who the most valuable player in the game is. I had this sorted by age and caps to try and get some regens when this resets, but don't really want Sunday Lisa's regen, so we'll move on from that. Come on. There you go, Dave Oakes, the most valuable player in the world. So Gaza, Pignolet, who we looked at a little bit earlier on, a Barcelona defensive mid whose name's been cut off. Let's have a look at Pignolet again. Still don't know who it is. Might be Patrice Logo, maybe. This chap was part of my Spain team, so I know how good he is, but he's only been around a couple of seasons, despite being 28. Can't really figure that one out. Marcel Maris, Romania. Maybe that's Ilia Dumitrescu, I don't know. Romanians are always quite well valued on this game. So Jerry's been signed a Croatian called Paternak, who's quite valuable. Here's Blanc again, Blanc's regen. Roger Winkler. That might be Mateus with that position, or maybe Matthias Sammer. Sorry, yeah, probably Sammer, fitting the age we've got there. Jalians, we've talked about Ronald de Boer. This Antonio chap, again, he was in my Spain squad. I gave him his first caps. No idea who he used to be, but good player. Enrico Berza was Andres Moller. Anyone else of note in here? Manga Ayu, we've talked about Jaffet and Dorum. Yeah, well, these are all players who are too expensive. Let's sort by caps. So Del Piero, who we did see very briefly in the West Ham squad. 35, I suppose he was playing in Australia just last year, wasn't he? So may have a couple of years left of Del Piero yet. West Ham obviously saw fit to pay 500 grand for him. He was at Barcelona for a long time, big part of their success. Nuno Gomez, I did have at Real Madrid for a bit, but he was well past his best. So away he went. Alan Jepsen of Denmark. Actually, seems to be a real player, hasn't been regenerated. Sunday Lise, he's 35. Part of Jerry Francis' all-conquering Leeds team. Sadly, now on a free transfer. We looked at Dyer, let's look at Lars Ricken. So again, he started at Dortmund. We all remember him scoring that memorable chip in the Champions League final. Made his way to Milan for 5 mil. He only just turned 34, so probably a couple of seasons left in him yet. Shea Given, so Watford has been relegated, he wasn't number 1. Ahmed Ben Yunus, well, he's 32 and he's a regen, so he's probably going to retire again, all over again. So when your regens are retiring, I think it's maybe time to call it a day. Junaid Hartley, South African with 100 caps. He's real, but I don't know who he is. But well done for 100 caps. Anyone else we want to look at in here? Well, Ronaldo we've looked at. Juan Veron, he's still going, is he? 35. Disappointed for him that his home World Cup went badly. Keith Gillespie, just been released by Arsenal. Can't see him getting another club now. He hasn't played for a number of years. Never mind. Denilson, we've seen Denilson. Anyone else? Lee Jarman, he's real, but no one cares about Lee Jarman. Neil Finn, again, God only knows how he's made it where he is. Jesper Grantjar. Peter Ferry Quay, now he's a lower league hero. Started the old minor team and gets a move and inevitably goes through the leagues and peters off quite badly for some reason, but he's had a decent career. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of this video. Let's just have a look at Camacho here, who's on the verge of being sacked. He's won so many things before he got sacked by Real Madrid, which allowed me to take the job. Hall of Fame, so top of the Hall of Fame with Sevilla. That's going to take some beating. That's Sevilla slash Spain really, so I mean I'm going to have to get another international job to come even close to beating that. I've got a few entries in here. That'll be Sevilla from the previous season. A couple of the Real Madrid ones in there and the Darlington ones in there. All very exciting stuff. Of course I'm top of the performance points because I've had a club and a national team. In terms of reputation, Gerry Francis is the best manager in the world. Can you believe that? Some things this game didn't quite get right. Let's have a quick look at Serie A. Said Napoli went through a spell of real domination. Inter Milan were runners up lots of times, 4 times to be exact. And then the usual suspects with Cagliari thrown in there as a winner for some reason. So here's my shortlist, and I think it's only right we finish on Peter Beardsley. 49. Hopefully he won't retire because I'd really like to see him make 50. It's just an incredible effort. He's player manager of Borough. He's been there for a number of years, and he just won't retire. Those physical stats are looking great though, aren't they? Pace 1, stamina 1, strength 1. Yet he saw fit to pick himself 9 times this season. 1 goal and 1 assist. Imagine being the team you conceded to a 49-year-old. But enough of that. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.